The black void of space lit up as 50 Kravaki warships dropped out of light speed. Their sleek hulls gleamed under the distant light of Earth's sun. On the command bridge of the flagship Conqueror General Tejo stood with his four-fingered hands clasped behind his back. His gray skin looked almost blue under the glow of the ship's monitors. "Is that it? The human homeworld?" he asked, his voice deep and even. "Yes, General," replied Captain Minho from the operations console. "They call it Earth." Tejo nodded slowly. "How primitive are their defenses?" "Very primitive, sir. Their weapons could not even scratch our hulls. Their most advanced fighters would be easy targets for our gunners." Captain Minho's mouth formed what passed for a smile among the Kravaki. The conquest should be quick. Yet General Tejo did not share his captain's confidence. He had led the Kravaki fleet for 30 years. He had conquered 18 worlds. Each victory had been earned through careful planning and respect for the enemy. Something about these humans troubled him. "Tell me more about their culture," Tejo said. "I want to understand them before we attack." Captain Minho pressed a button on his console. "I have prepared a report for the War Council meeting. It starts in 10 minutes. The War Council chamber buzzed with conversation as 12 high-ranking Kravaki officers took their seats around a large oval table. General Tejo sat at the head, his face showing nothing. Captain Minho stood before a large screen, ready to present his findings. "My fellow warriors," Minho began, "I have studied the human transmissions we intercepted. These humans are physically weak. They lack natural weapons. Their bodies break easily." He showed images of humans going about their daily lives. The officers nodded in agreement. Commander Doyen, Tejo's second-in-command, laughed loudly. "Look at them. So soft, so fragile." Captain Minho continued, "But the strangest thing about humans is their folklore. They tell stories about winning against impossible odds." He showed clips from human movies and TV shows, scenes of humans fighting alien invaders, monsters, and machines. In most of these stories, humans face enemies much stronger than themselves, enemies with better technology and weapons. Yet somehow, the humans always win. Minho shook his head in disbelief. The war room filled with laughter. "What foolishness," said Commander Doyen. "They dream of victories they could never achieve in real life." "Their leaders must tell these stories to give their people false hope," said another officer. "Or perhaps they are simply stupid," added a third. Through all this, General Tejo remained silent. He watched the human stories with growing concern. In one clip, a small group of humans defeated an entire alien army. In another, a single human outsmarted a superior alien mind. "General, you are quiet," Commander Doyen noted. "Do you not find these human fantasies amusing?" Tejo looked up slowly. "I find them concerning." The room went silent. "Concerning? How so?" asked Doyen with a hint of mockery in his voice. "A species that constantly imagines defeating superior forces is a species that never accepts defeat," Tejo said. "Look closer at these stories. They are not random. They follow patterns. Humans study weakness in their enemies. They form unlikely alliances. They use simple tools in clever ways." Captain Minho frowned. "But sir, they are just stories. Fiction." "Are they?" Tejo stood up and walked to the screen. He pointed to an image of humans celebrating victory. "Or are they training? Mental preparation for exactly this moment, when a superior force arrives at their world." Commander Doyen laughed again, but with less confidence. "General, with all respect, you are overthinking this. We have conquered worlds with far better weapons than Earth has. The humans will fall just like all the others." Tejo looked at each officer in turn. "Perhaps, but I want more information before we strike. Captain Minho, I want a deeper analysis of human history. Real conflicts, not just their stories. I want to know how they fight when truly threatened." "Yes, General," Minho replied, though he clearly thought it was a waste of time. As the meeting ended and the officers filed out, General Tejo remained, staring at the image of Earth on the screen. Something about these humans troubled him deeply. A species that imagined victory against the impossible might just achieve it. And that made them dangerous in ways his warriors could not understand. General Tejo sat alone in his private quarters. The walls around him were bare except for a few marks of honor from past conquests. A star map on his desk showed Earth, a small blue dot that seemed so harmless. He touched a button on his desk. "Send Lieutenant Jiwoo to my quarters." While he waited, Tejo watched more human broadcasts. His translator turned their strange sounds into words he could understand. He watched humans tell stories about beating giants, outsmarting powerful enemies, and surviving when all hope seemed lost. The door slid open, and Lieutenant Jiwoo entered. She was younger than most officers, with lighter gray skin and sharp eyes that missed nothing. She bowed slightly. "You asked to see me, General." "Yes, Lieutenant. You are our cultural specialist, correct?" "I am, sir. I study the beliefs and behaviors of species we encounter." Tejo nodded. "Good. I want your opinion on humans, not as enemies but as thinkers. Captain Minho's report focused only on their weakness. I want to know their strengths." Jiwoo's eyes lit up. Unlike other Kravaki officers who cared only about weapons and tactics, she found alien cultures fascinating. "Sir, humans are unlike any species we have met before," she said. "Most conquered worlds have one or two major cultures. Earth has hundreds, all different yet connected." "Explain," Tejo ordered. Jiwoo moved to the desk and brought up images on the screen. "Look at their history. Humans fight each other constantly. Their world has seen thousands of wars. Yet after each war, they adapt and grow stronger." "Many species fight among themselves," Tejo said. "Yes, but humans learn from defeat in ways others don't. When they lose, they study why. Then they fix their weaknesses." Jiwoo showed charts tracking human military progress over time. "And there's something else, sir. Something in their stories." She played clips from human entertainment. Scenes of small human forces defeating larger alien armies. Lone humans finding the one weakness in seemingly perfect enemy defenses. "Captain Minho thinks these are just silly dreams," Jiwoo said. "I disagree. I think these are mental drills. Practice for the real thing." Tejo leaned forward. "You think they have been preparing for us?" "Not us specifically, sir, but the idea of invasion. Yes, for over 100 years, humans have imagined being invaded. In their minds, they have fought this war countless times." The general stood and paced the room. "What about their actual wars? Not their stories." Jiwoo brought up new images. Earth's last major war involved nearly all their nations. When one side was losing badly, did they surrender? No. They formed new plans. They built new weapons. They fought in new ways. She pointed to data on the screen. "Look at this nation. It was almost completely defeated, yet it kept fighting until it won." Tejo studied the information carefully. "What about their leaders now? Are they strong?" "Their world is divided, sir. Many different leaders with different ideas." Jiwoo paused. "But when truly threatened, humans have a history of setting aside their differences to fight together." General Tejo was quiet for a long time. Finally, he asked, "And if we attack as planned?" "They will lose the first battles, maybe even most battles," Jiwoo admitted. "Their weapons are no match for ours, but they will not stop fighting. They will watch us, learn our ways, find our weaknesses, and they will never, never give up. Just like in their stories," Tejo said quietly. "Yes, sir, exactly like their stories." Jiwoo's voice was serious. "These stories are not just entertainment. They are survival manuals passed from one generation to the next." The general turned to look at Earth on his screen. Such a small planet to cause such big concerns. "Lieutenant, I want you to prepare a full report on human resistance tactics. Not their militaries. I want to know how they fight when all seems lost." "Yes, General." After Jiwoo left, Taeho sat in silence. The War Council was eager to attack. Commander Do-hyun was already planning the invasion. But for the first time in his long career, General Taeho felt uncertain about a conquest. These humans, with their endless stories of victory against impossible odds, perhaps they knew something the Kravaki did not. General Taeho sat alone in his private quarters. The walls around him were bare except for a few marks of honor from past conquests. A star map on his desk showed Earth, a small blue dot that seemed so harmless. He touched a button on his desk. "Send Lieutenant Ju to my quarters." While he waited, Taeho watched more human broadcasts. His translator turned their strange sounds into words he could understand. He watched humans tell stories about beating giants, outsmarting powerful enemies, and surviving when all hope seemed lost. The door slid open, and Lieutenant Ju entered. She was younger than most officers, with lighter gray skin and sharp eyes that missed nothing. She bowed slightly. "You asked to see me, General." "Yes, Lieutenant. You are our cultural specialist, correct?" "I am, sir. I study the beliefs and behaviors of species we encounter." Taeho nodded. "Good. I want your opinion on humans, not as enemies but as thinkers." Captain Minho's report focused only on their weakness. "I want to know their strengths." Juwoo's eyes lit up. Unlike other Kravaki officers who cared only about weapons and tactics, she found alien cultures fascinating. "Sir, humans are unlike any species we have met before," she said. "Most conquered worlds have one or two major cultures. Earth has hundreds, all different yet connected." "Explain," Taeho ordered. Juwoo moved to the desk and brought up images on the screen. "Look at their history. Humans fight each other constantly. Their world has seen thousands of wars. Yet after each war, they adapt and grow stronger." "Many species fight among themselves," Taeho said. "Yes, but humans learn from defeat in ways others don't. When they lose, they study why. Then they fix their weaknesses." Juwoo showed charts tracking human military progress over time. "And there's something else, sir. Something in their stories." She played clips from human entertainment, scenes of small human forces defeating larger alien armies. Lone humans finding the one weakness in seemingly perfect enemy defenses. "Captain Minho thinks these are just silly dreams," Juwoo said. "I disagree. I think these are mental drills. Practice for the real thing." Taeho leaned forward. "You think they have been preparing for us?" "Not us specifically, sir, but the idea of invasion. Yes, for over 100 years, humans have imagined being invaded. In their minds, they have fought this war countless times." The general stood and paced the room. "What about their actual wars? Not their stories." Juwoo brought up new images. Earth's last major war involved nearly all their nations. When one side was losing badly, did they surrender? No, they formed new plans. They built new weapons. They fought in new ways. She pointed to data on the screen. "Look at this nation. It was almost completely defeated, yet it kept fighting until it won." Taeho studied the information carefully. "What about their leaders now? Are they strong?" "Their world is divided, sir. Many different leaders with different ideas." Ju paused. "But when truly threatened, humans have a history of setting aside their differences to fight together." General Taeho was quiet for a long time. Finally, he asked, "And if we attack as planned?" "They will lose the first battles, maybe even most battles," Ju admitted. "Their weapons are no match for ours. But they will not stop fighting. They will watch us, learn our ways, find our weaknesses, and they will never, never give up." "Just like in their stories," Taeho said quietly. "Yes, sir. Exactly like their stories." Ju's voice was serious. "These stories are not just entertainment. They are survival manuals passed from one generation to the next." The general turned to look at Earth on his screen. Such a small planet to cause such big concerns. "Lieutenant, I want you to prepare a full report on human resistance tactics, not their militaries, I want to know how they fight when all seems lost. Yes, General. After Juwu left, Taeho sat in silence. The War Council was eager to attack. Commander Doyun was already planning the invasion, but for the first time in his long career, General Taeho felt uncertain about a conquest. These humans, with their endless stories of victory against impossible odds, perhaps they knew something the Kravaki did not. The sky over Earth's major cities filled with Kravaki ships. Their dark hulls blocked the sun, casting giant shadows on the ground below. People ran in fear. Military jets rose to fight, but were quickly shot down. In the command center of the Kravaki flagship, Commander Doyun watched with a smile on his face. "See how easily they fall," he said. "Their best weapons cannot even touch our ships." General Taeho stood at the back of the room, his face showing nothing. He watched the screens as human cities burned and armies retreated. "The first phase is complete," reported Captain Minho. "All major military bases have been destroyed. Their governments are in chaos." "Excellent," said Commander Doyun. "Begin landing ground forces. Take control of their capitals." Transport ships descended to Earth's surface. Thousands of Kravaki soldiers poured out, armed with weapons far beyond anything humans had. They moved through cities, taking control block by block. At first, everything went as planned. Human militaries could not stand against Kravaki weapons. One by one, Earth's nations surrendered. Commander Doyun entered Taho's private quarters without knocking. "You see, General, your concerns were for nothing. The humans fall just like all the others." Taho looked up from his desk. "The initial attack always goes well, Commander. I am more concerned with what comes next." Doyun laughed. "There is no next. In 3 days, we will have complete control of this world." After Doyun left, Lieutenant Juwu entered with a data pad in her hand. "Sir, I have the latest reports." "Tell me what you see," Taho said. "On the surface, everything looks successful, but I've noticed some strange patterns." Juwu showed him a map of Earth with red dots marking Kravaki positions. "Our forces control all major cities, but look at these areas." She pointed to spaces between the dots. "Unusual communication signals are coming from these regions." Taho studied the map. "The humans are organizing something." "Yes, sir. And there's more." Juwu changed the display. 3 of our supply ships were damaged yesterday. Command says it was accidents, but the damage patterns suggest attacks. Attacks? With what weapons? That's the strange part. They used our own equipment against us. Someone modified our energy tools to create explosives. Taho nodded slowly. "Just as I feared. They're adapting." Over the next week, more reports came in. A Kravaki patrol disappeared in a human city. A communications tower stopped working. Food supplies for the troops were found poisoned. Commander Doyun called an emergency meeting. His earlier confidence was gone. "These humans are more troublesome than expected," he admitted. "But we will crush their resistance. I have ordered our forces to be more aggressive." "What does that mean?" asked Taho. "For every Kravaki soldier harmed, we will destroy a human town. They will learn fear." Later that day, Captain Minho brought more reports to General Taeho. "Sir, something strange is happening. Human resistance is growing, not shrinking, after Commander Doyun's new orders." "Of course it is," Taho said. "Threats and fear won't work on these people. Their stories taught them to resist harder when things get worse." Taho looked at the latest battle maps. Human resistance fighters had retaken several small areas. More concerning, they were now using modified Kravaki weapons. "Get me Lieutenant Juwu," he ordered. When she arrived, Taho asked, "Is that special communication channel ready?" "Yes, General. We can contact human leaders without Commander Doyun knowing." "Good. Find me someone who leads their resistance, not their former governments. They have already surrendered. I want to speak with whoever is actually fighting back." "That may be difficult, sir. The resistance is not centralized." Find someone, Tahoe insisted. I need to understand how they think. As Juwu left to carry out his orders, Tahoe turned back to the battle reports. The pattern was becoming clear. Kravaki forces controlled the cities and main roads, but humans controlled everything else. Supply lines were being cut, patrols were being ambushed. What had looked like a successful invasion was turning into something very different, and Commander Do-yun, in his anger and pride, could not see it. The small transport ship landed in a clearing surrounded by tall trees. General Tahoe stepped out, followed by Lieutenant Juwu. Both wore plain armor with no rank markings. "Are you sure this is safe, sir?" Juwu asked, looking around nervously. "No," Tahoe replied, "but it is necessary." They walked toward an abandoned building at the edge of the clearing. 3 humans stepped out to meet them. 2 held weapons, modified Kravaki guns attached to human-made power sources. The third, a woman, carried no weapon but walked with the confidence of a leader. "I am Haijin," she said. Her voice was firm, her eyes sharp and watchful. "You must be General Tahoe." Tahoe nodded. "Thank you for agreeing to meet." "I was curious," Haijin said. 3 months into what should have been a quick conquest, the Kravaki occupation was failing. The command center of the flagship was tense as officers reported more problems. "Another supply ship destroyed," said an officer. "That's the 5th this week." Commander Do-yun slammed his fist on the console. How are they doing this with such primitive technology? No one had a good answer. General Tahoe watched from his position at the back of the room. He had been right, but that gave him no joy. "Sir," Captain Minho approached Tahoe quietly. "May I speak with you privately?" In Tahoe's quarters, Minho's usual confidence was gone. "General, I have been studying the human resistance. Their tactics are troubling." "In what way?" asked Tahoe, though he already knew. "They're not just fighting us. They're learning from us." Minho showed data on his pad. "Look at these weapons they've made. They're copies of our designs, but modified. Sometimes improved. How fast are they adapting?" "Too fast." Minho looked worried now. "At the current rate, they'll have working versions of our shield technology within weeks." Tahoe nodded slowly. "And what about their morale?" "That's the strangest part." Minho shook his head in disbelief. "We've destroyed their cities. We've killed millions, yet their will to fight only grows stronger." "Just as Lieutenant Juwu predicted," Tahoe said. "What else have you found?" Minho hesitated. "I've been reading their stories, sir, the ones about alien invasions. And they all end the same way. Humans find the invaders' weakness and exploit it. No matter how powerful the aliens are, humans always win." Minho's voice dropped lower. "Sir, do you think, could these stories be prophecies?" "Not prophecies. Preparation." Tahoe looked at the data again. The humans mentally rehearsed this war for generations. They already knew what to do when we arrived. Before Minho could respond, the alarm sounded. Both officers rushed back to the command center. "What's happening?" Tahoe demanded. "Human attack," an officer reported. "They hit 3 of our ground bases at once." Commander Do-yun was shouting orders. "Send reinforcements. I want those humans crushed." The screens showed the battles. Human fighters used stolen Kravaki weapons. They moved quickly, striking and then disappearing before the Kravaki could respond. "Sir," reported another officer, "the humans are using our own communication channels. They're listening to our orders before we can carry them out." Do-yun's face twisted with rage. "How is this possible? They're just primitives." "No," Tahoe said, speaking up for the first time. "They're adaptable, more adaptable than we ever imagined." All eyes turned to him. "What would you suggest, General?" Do-yun asked, his voice cold with anger. "We need to change our approach," Tahoe said. "Brutality has failed. Perhaps it's time to consider negotiation." Do-yun laughed harshly. "Negotiate? With inferiors? Never." Later that day, the High Command called. The holograms of the 5 leaders appeared, their faces grim. "The conquest is taking too long," said Admiral Kyong. "Explain this failure, Commander Do-Yun." Do-Yun straightened his back. "The humans are more resistant than expected, but we will prevail. I request permission to use our heaviest weapons." "What weapons?" asked Taho, alarmed. "Planet killers," Do-Yun said simply. "We can end this rebellion in one day by destroying their largest cities from orbit." The High Command was silent for a moment. Then Admiral Kyong nodded. "Permission granted. End this quickly, Commander." After the meeting, Taho rushed to find Lieutenant Ju. "He's going to use the planet killers. Millions will die." "What can we do?" Ju asked. Taho's face was grim but determined. "Contact Haijin immediately and find Captain Minho. It's time to make a choice." "Sir, between my duty to the Kravaki and my duty to prevent a massacre." Taho looked out the window at Earth below. "Commander Do-Yun thinks destroying cities will break the humans, but he's wrong. It will only make them fight harder," Ju said. "Yes, until every last Kravaki on this planet is dead." Taho turned back to her. "We need to stop him before he dooms us all." General Taho stood in his private quarters, looking at the 3-dimensional map of Earth. Red dots showed Kravaki forces. Blue areas marked human-resistant strongholds. The blue was spreading more each day. His door opened, and Captain Minho entered, followed by Lieutenant Ju. "Is it secure?" Taho asked. Ju nodded. "Yes, General. No one can hear us." "Good." Taho looked at Minho. "Captain, what I am about to suggest is treason. If you wish to leave now, I will understand." Minho straightened his back. "I serve the Kravaki people, sir, not Commander Do-Yun's pride." "Very well." Taho pointed to the map. "Do-Yun plans to use planet killers on these human cities tomorrow. Millions will die." "Will that break their resistance?" Minho asked. "No," Ju answered firmly. "It will only make them fight harder. And these weapons will poison parts of the planet for years. They're designed for enemies we never planned to live alongside." Taho nodded, which reveals Do-Yun's true plan. He doesn't want to conquer Earth anymore. He wants to destroy it and move on. "But the High Command approved this," Minho said. "How can we stop it?" "We can't. Not alone." Taho took a deep breath. "We need to help the humans stop it." The room went silent. What the general suggested was unthinkable. No Kravaki had ever betrayed their people for an enemy. "Help the humans?" Minho finally asked. "How?" "By giving them the information they need to disable the planet killers." Taho activated a hologram showing the weapon's design, "and by helping them get on board this ship." "That's not just treason," Minho whispered. "That's the end of everything we know." "No," Taho said firmly. "It's the only way to save both species. If Do-Yun uses these weapons, the humans will never stop fighting. They will find a way to strike back, even if it takes them decades. Their stories have prepared them for exactly this moment." He looked at his 2 officers. "I've arranged to meet with Haijin in 1 hour. Either come with me or report me to Do-Yun. Those are your only choices." Ju stepped forward immediately. "I'm with you, General." Minho hesitated longer. Finally, he said, "The humans have never lost in their stories about invasion." "Never once. Perhaps there's a reason." "Then let's go," Taho said. The meeting place was an abandoned farm. Haijin waited with 10 of her best fighters. When she saw 3 Kravaki approaching, her people raised their weapons. "Hold," she ordered. "I know them." Taho, Ju, and Minho stopped a few meters away. "You said this was urgent," Haijin said to Taho. "Tomorrow, Commander Do-Yun will use weapons that can destroy entire cities from orbit," Taho explained. "Weapons that will poison your land for generations." Haijin's face showed no surprise. "We've been expecting something like this. It's what the aliens always do in our stories when they start losing. And in your stories, how do humans stop these weapons? Minho asked. Usually by boarding the enemy ship and disabling them from inside. Haijin smiled slightly. But we haven't figured out how to do that yet. That's why we're here, Tahoe said. He gave her a small device. This contains the ship plans, security codes, and the location of the weapons. Haijin stared at him. You're betraying your own people. Why? Because Doyan's path leads to destruction for both our species. Tahoe looked at Earth's night sky. I've conquered 18 worlds, Haijin. Never once did I use planet killers. There's no honor in such victory. We'll need more than plans, Haijin said. We need someone who knows the ship. You have us, Ju said, stepping forward. We'll guide your team on board. One of Haijin's fighters objected. We can't trust them. This could be a trap. If we wanted to trap you, Minho said calmly, we could have simply told Doyan where to find you. You've been using this base for weeks. Haijin studied the 3 Kravaki, then nodded. We leave in 1 hour. Bring whatever you need. As Haijin walked away to prepare her team, Tahoe looked at his 2 loyal officers. Once we do this, there's no going back. I know, Ju said. The humans have a saying, Minho added. They talk about being on the right side of history. I think that's where we are now, sir. Tahoe nodded. Let's hope history remembers it that way. The small human ship approached the massive Kravaki flagship. It was night, and the ship's dark hull blended with the sky. Inside were 15 people, 12 human fighters led by Haijin, along with General Tahoe, Lieutenant Ju, and Captain Minho. Stay close to the engine exhaust, Tahoe instructed the human pilot. Their sensors are weakest there. The human ship moved carefully, following Tahoe's directions. On the flagship, no alarm sounded. They were invisible. There, Tahoe pointed to a small door on the side of the huge ship. Emergency airlock. It's used for repairs. The main systems don't monitor it closely. The human ship docked silently. The airlock opened, and they entered the Kravaki flagship. From here, we split into 2 teams, Tahoe said once they were inside. Ju will take Haijin and 6 fighters to the weapon control room. Minho, you take 3 fighters to the communication center. I'll take the rest to create a distraction. Haijin looked at her people. Remember the plan. Disable the weapons. Don't try to fight every alien you see. We can't win that way. They separated, moving through the ship's dark corridors. Ju led Haijin's team, using her officers' codes to open doors and avoid security. They passed Kravaki soldiers who nodded respectfully, not suspecting anything wrong. In another part of the ship, Captain Minho guided his team to the communication center. Once inside, he told them, "We need to send a message to all Kravaki ships. We need to tell them what Doyan is planning." "Will they listen?" asked one of the humans. "Some will," Minho said. "Not all Kravaki want to destroy worlds." Meanwhile, on the command deck, Commander Doyan prepared the planet killer weapons. His officers worked at their stations, targeting Earth's largest cities. "Begin countdown," Doyan ordered. "Firing in 20 minutes. The countdown appeared on all screens throughout the ship. In the weapon control room, Ju saw it and quickened her pace. "We're running out of time," she told Haijin. They reached the weapon control room. 2 guards stood outside. Ju walked up to them confidently. "Lieutenant Ju reporting for special duty," she said, showing her ID. The guard stepped aside, not questioning a known officer. Once inside, everything changed. Haijin's fighters quickly overwhelmed the weapon technicians. Within moments, they controlled the room. "Now what?" Haijin asked. "We can't shut down the weapons completely," Ju explained. "Doyan would just restart them from the command deck, but we can change their targeting." She worked quickly at the main console, redirecting the weapons to fire into empty space instead of at Earth. In the communications center, Minho and his team faced more resistance. Alarms sounded as they fought their way in. "Something's wrong," Do-yun said on the command deck. "Security breach in communications." He was about to send guards when more alarms sounded. General Taeho and his team of human fighters had revealed themselves, attacking a major engine room. Taeho. Do-yun couldn't believe it. "He's working with the humans." "Sir," an officer reported, "we're receiving an emergency message from Captain Minho. It's being broadcast to all ships." Minho's face appeared on the main screen. "Attention all Kravaki forces. Commander Do-yun is about to use planet killers against Earth. This violates our most sacred laws of conquest. General Taeho has acted to prevent this crime. I urge all loyal Kravaki to stand down." Do-yun's face twisted with rage. "Ignore that traitor. Proceed with the attack. 10 minutes to firing." But doubt had entered the command deck. Officers looked at each other uncertainly. "Sir," one finally said, "using planet killers was supposed to be a last resort. Is this truly necessary?" "It is because I say it is," Do-yun shouted. "I am in command here." At that moment, the doors to the command deck opened. General Taeho walked in, followed by Haijin and several human fighters. "Not anymore," Taeho said calmly. Do-yun reached for his weapon, but Taeho was faster. A single shot, and Do-yun fell. The command deck went silent. Taeho looked at the Kravaki officers. "The weapons have been retargeted," he told them. "This madness ends now." One by one, the officers nodded. The countdown was stopped. The battle for Earth had reached its turning point. 3 weeks after the battle on the flagship, General Taeho stood in a large meeting room in what was once a human government building. The room was filled with both humans and Kravaki. On one side sat the newly formed Human Defense Council. On the other side sat the Kravaki command officers who had chosen to follow Taeho. "The last of Do-yun's loyal ships have left Earth's orbit," Taeho reported. "They returned to Kravaki space to face judgment for their actions here." Haijin, now the head of the Human Defense Council, nodded. "And the High Command, what was their response to your message?" "They are processing the situation," Taeho said carefully. "It is the first time in our history that a conquest has failed. More importantly, it is the first time a Kravaki general has sided with the target world." "Will there be war between your people?" asked another council member. "No," Captain Minho answered. "The High Command may be proud, but they are practical. When they reviewed our evidence of Do-yun's plan to use planet killers against civilian targets, they understood why we acted." Lieutenant Ju, who had been working with human scientists, added, "They're more interested in what happens next. The alliance we're proposing is new territory for everyone." The meeting continued for hours as both sides worked through the details of the peace agreement. It wasn't easy. Trust was fragile. Many humans still wanted all Kravaki to leave Earth. Some Kravaki officers still believed humans should be conquered. But in the end, they found common ground. The Kravaki would withdraw most of their forces. A small group would remain as ambassadors and advisors. In exchange, humans would share their world and join the wider galaxy community. After the meeting, Taeho walked with Haijin through the rebuilding city. Buildings damaged in the invasion were being repaired, some with Kravaki help. "Your stories were right," Taeho said after a long silence. "Humans won in the end." Haijin smiled slightly. "Not exactly as the stories predicted. In most of them, we won by destroying the aliens completely." "Perhaps it's time for new stories," Taeho suggested. "We're already writing them," Haijin said. "Stories of alliance instead of conquest. Stories where different species learned from each other." They stopped at a park where human and Kravaki children played together. It was a strange sight. Gray alien children with their 4 fingers playing games with human kids. Yet somehow, it worked. "I've been reading more of your folklore," Taeho said. "Not just the invasion stories, but others. Stories of peace after war, enemies becoming friends." "Those stories exist too," Haijin agreed. We just didn't think they applied to alien invasions. Your people are remarkable, Tahoe said. You prepared for war through stories. Now perhaps you can prepare for peace the same way. Later that evening, Tahoe met with Minho and Juwu on the observation deck of their ship. Earth shone blue and green below them. The High Command has made a decision, Tahoe told them. We are to be the first ambassadors to Earth. Our betrayal has been redefined as forward-thinking diplomatic action. Juwu laughed. How convenient for them. Politics, Minho said with a shrug. At least we're not being executed as traitors. There's more, Tahoe continued. They'd want us to bring human representatives back to Kravaki space. They're curious about these beings who defeated our best forces. Are they planning something? Juwu asked, suddenly concerned. No, Tahoe assured her. I think they genuinely want to learn. The humans have taught them, taught all of us, an important lesson. What lesson is that? Asked Minho. That strength comes in many forms, not just weapons and technology, but culture and imagination. Tahoe looked at Earth again. The humans were preparing to face us long before we ever heard of their world. Through their stories, Juwu said. Yes, Tahoe agreed. And now their stories will spread throughout the galaxy. Other conquering species will hear about the world that defeated the mighty Kravaki. They will begin to fear human ships. With good reason, Minho added. As the three former enemies of humanity looked down at their new home, they wondered what stories would be told about them in the centuries to come. And somewhere on Earth, a child was already writing one.